Hello, guys. Welcome here. It's going to be a very short episode of Out of Turn 4, so please just understand because we're kind of crunched for time. I know we're late on the premiere. I apologize for that. The Coke 600 being delayed to Monday really kind of messed things up. And then in addition, just my schedule was really crazy. But I'm going to do a quick recap. Of course, we know Ben Rhodes, he won the truck race that opened up the weekend here. The big weekend in auto racing. It's his first win of the season. Congratulations to him. He deserved it. I don't believe any Cup guys were in the field, so that's good. And he won a $50,000 bonus. So ultimately great for him. Didn't watch much of the race, unfortunately. Same with the Xfinity race. Justin Allgaier, he gets the win. Of course, though, the big headline was Justin Haley has completed the most laps in a day in NASCAR Series history, so that's great. 898 miles he completed. Of course, he wasn't supposed to run this race. Kyle Busch was supposed to run it in the 10 for Colleague, and unfortunately decided to back out once the race got delayed to Sunday and then eventually to Monday after the NASCAR Cup Series race. So, but good run for Justin Haley. Or good job for him, of course. He ran the Cup race too. We'll recap that, and we're gonna take a little time on this, of course, as the NASCAR Cup Series was also at Charlotte Coke 600. Ryan Blaney ends a big winless streak. That is huge for him, of course. Congratulations. I was rooting for him to eventually end this winless streak. He's, been long overdue, as many know. So, great for him. But, of course, the biggest headline and, of course, now the biggest news is Chase Elliott. Of course, Denny Hamlin essentially ran Chase Elliott up the track for those who didn't watch it. I think it was lap 138 or 198, something like that. But he ran him up the track. Chase Elliott did not appreciate it and essentially cut hard right or hard left and took out Denny Hamlin, sent him head first into the outside wall. This is not the first time that Chase has gotten upset with drivers. Personally, and I think as a Chase fan, and as a guy who clearly does not like Denny Hamlin, other than his podcast, but Denny Hamlin, the driver, Denny Hamlin in general, not a fan of. So I just don't, personally, I'm not going to say he deserves it. Nobody deserves to get put head first into a wall. To say, though, that Denny has had karma coming is probably the better statement here. Denny's had a history of racing aggressive. Denny's had a history of opening his mouth about racing aggressive, especially this year with Ross Chastain. The point is, Denny's had a history too, and, you can't call out one and not the other. Or you can't, call out Chase and not see the other. Now, of course, today the news came out that Chase Elliott has been suspended for the race at Gateway. Corey LaJoie will drive the number 9. Now, I do agree. Now, before I talk about Corey LaJoie, I do agree with the suspension, unfortunately. Even as a Chase fan, you can't do that, man. You just can't do it, You can't run a guy head first into the wall. I mean, we learned from Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. We learned that there's got to be a standard set. And the telemetry, the data in general, just the data proves that point. Okay, the data proves that he did it. There's no denying it. Unfortunately, it's a well-deserved suspension, you know. Look, I mean, these two have had their history, of course, but you can't cut down the track and spin somebody out. I would have been fine if he went to the next corner, or the next time he saw me, shoved him up the track. That's a different story. Okay, but you can't right rear somebody, or you can't like right corner somebody. It's not with this car. And you know, like I said, I don't like Denny Hamlin. Do I think that, you know, he's had this coming for a while? Do I think he's had drivers coming after him coming for a while? Yes, absolutely. But again, do I think anybody deserves to be sent headfirst into a wall? Absolutely not. You know, it's not even just the next gen. I mean, you know, of course, we know we have the history of concussions. Denny Hamlin's had the history of knee injuries. We saw Kyle Busch injure himself that way before. You just can't do that. And as far as Chase, we know more than likely, once again, they're going to grant him a waiver to be in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs if, of course, he wins a race. But you got to wonder how much missing all those races really hurt him. You got to wonder how much, you know, it took a mental toll on him, of course. We know this is not his first incident where someone's run him up the track and he got upset. You know, and Chase has a right to defend himself, just not in a way that... Okay, Chase has a right to defend himself, but not in a way that puts other drivers, let alone himself, in the risk of serious injury. Okay, again, I would have been fine if you went into the next corner and, you know, you left reared him, just spun him out and sent him to the back of the pack. That's all you had to do. You didn't need to, you know, right rear him and end his day. And then lie and say, oh, it was a toe link, you know. But I'm glad that NASCAR kept the precedent. I think that's the biggest thing I'm happy about, is they set a precedent here and said, hey, we're not going to tolerate this behavior. This is not acceptable in our sport. There's no place for this in our sport. And to be honest, I think if drivers do this, they should not only be suspending them, but you know how when Kyle Busch said the R word, we sent him to sensitivity training. You know, when Haley Deegan said the R word or whatever she said, we sent her to sensitivity training. I'm not saying we need to send Chase Elliott to sensitivity training. What I'm saying is drivers like Bubba Wallace, and I disagreed with what Bubba did too. Now Kyle Larson, another guy who's had it coming. But those guys should have been sent, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, they should have not only been suspended for the week, for the next race, but they should have been forced to go to anger management. Plain and simple. If you do that, you should be forced to go to anger management. Okay? Because at that point, you're putting your own competitors at risk. Okay? You're putting yourself at risk. Okay? That would be my advice to NASCAR, is that I think these drivers should be forced to go to anger management courses when they do stupid stuff like that. You know, you do stupid stuff, you get stupid consequences, just like just like that. So, and again, I'm a Chase Elliott fan. I think I made that clear. For those who don't know and don't watch this program very often, I'm a Chase Elliott fan. I'm also a Ross Chastain fan. I disagree with, a lot of the stuff you're saying. I'm not going to sit here and, I'm going to sit here and defend my drivers, obviously. But when they do stupid shit like this, that's just indefensible, I got to call it. And I'm not just doing it because I have a platform here. I'm doing it because I vehemently disagree with everything that they did. Okay? That's how I feel about it. And, the punishment fits the crime. But honestly, I think anger management should be on the table next year. The other thing, as far as the suspension goes, we know Josh Williams got a waiver after being suspended. Chase Elliott's going to get a waiver. You want to not only cut down on this stupid shit, anger management's a start. What I think would really cut down on drivers doing stupid shit that gets them parked for a race is to say, guess what? You get suspended, you're not getting a waiver for the playoffs. So not only are you hurting yourself by not racing the next weekend, you're killing your season by acting this way. Okay, that should be the other step, is that if you do something to get suspended by NASCAR, whether that's on track, off track with drugs or PEDs, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it happens to be, if you just sit there and say you get suspended, and I said the same thing about Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and others getting hurt, or Alex Bowman and others getting hurt outside of NASCAR, that they shouldn't be granted the playoff waivers. If you get injured in a NASCAR national or NASCAR sanctioned series, that's a different story. You get injured in a NASCAR sanctioned series, you should get a waiver. You get injured in a sprint car on a Wednesday night at Outlaw Speedway, you shouldn't be allowed to race the next, you shouldn't be allowed a waiver. Maybe sponsors would think twice about that. Okay, you get suspended from a NASCAR national or NASCAR sanctioned series, you should not be able to get a playoff waiver. Plain and simple. You should not be allowed to get a waiver. I'm sorry, but you know what? I think, again, I feel like it would cut down on the stupid shit that we see week in and week out. Now, I love the drama. This has been a great season for those who have not watched. It's real, authentic drama. And not like real authentic, like, anger, real authentic grudges, just everything this season. Last season was, these last two seasons, love or hate the next gen. It's been phenomenal. Okay, love or hate it, it's been phenomenal. The next gen car. I mean, last year, the 20 different winners that we had. This year, the drama we've had. The Ross Chastain. What is Ross going to do? Who's Ross going to piss off this week? Now, who's Chase Elliott going to piss off? So say what you want. The next gen is great for the sport. Oh, man. But, and this is what we needed, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying we needed Chase Elliott to kill somebody. But boy, did we need the drama. That's really all I'm going to say on that. We really needed this for the ratings and just to get people to watch. Just to see these grudges, like in the old days. So hopefully that'll lead to more viewership. Indy 500, that's probably what most of you guys are here for. And I'm proud to say that I read today the Indy 500 ratings went up. Okay, Joseph Newgarden, man, he just got his first Indy 500 win. I could not be happier for him. Of course, I was rooting for Santino, for those who don't know. As far as what IndyCar drivers I support Santino. I support Connor. I get both of them don't like each other. I don't care. I just think they're both great dudes, and they're great dudes I've met at IndyCar races, and forever I will support them. Same with Tony Kanaan. So Joseph Newgarden gets his first Indy 500 win. It is Team Penske's 19th. I believe it's Joseph Newgarden's 27th career win or 37th career win, something like that. But huge. And of course, I put out the tweet right after. If you didn't consider Joseph Newgarden a rising star, a rising legend in the sport without that Indy 500, now you've got to change your mind. The dude's a multi-time champion of IndyCar. He's now an Indy 500 winner. He's won 27, 37 races, something like that. The dude is a wheelman. Okay, it's that simple. Joseph Newgarden is a wheelman. I bet you he could hop into a NASCAR tomorrow for Team Penske and somehow put the car in the top 10. He's a talented driver. I'd love to see him on the NASCAR side, but I can't say enough about this guy's talent. And it sort of had that Tony Kanaan, vibe here. It sort of had that Tony Kanaan finally vibe to it. Now, there are going to be people who say, the last caution, last red flag shouldn't have happened. I believe the last red flag should have been a lap sooner. But I saw people, complaining that, Penske owns the series. That's why this happened. They wanted to ensure that his driver could win. Do I think Roger should own a team in a series that he owns at a track that he owns? Absolutely not. Okay? I think it should be Team Cindric at this point, or Cindric Motorsports, something like that, with Roger having no ownership, no investment whatsoever, if you want my opinion on it. But race fans got to look at the alternative. And, we saw the reports 2 weeks ago that Liberty Media was interested in buying IndyCar. They denied it, but we know it's true. They wanted to buy IndyCar. The alternative is that Liberty Media owns IndyCar, and we kiss goodbye to the greatest spectacle in racing. We kiss goodbye to IndyCar as we know it. Okay? Liberty Media owning IndyCar is the worst thing that could possibly happen to the NTT IndyCar series. Now, I don't care what any fan says. It's the worst thing that could happen. Okay? So, before you complain about Roger Penske and saying it's rigged, which I'm sorry, it's not. Before you complain about it, you should really think about the alternative of, if not Roger, then it's going to be Liberty Media. And again, IndyCar does not need Liberty Media to own it. But again, congratulations to Joseph Newgarden. I get he's not as well liked as Tony Kanaan when he won his first, but I will say though that this is just, it sort of has that feel to it of finally, The dude has now cemented himself as a true legend of the sport. If he wasn't already, he is. Okay? You just got to embrace it at this point. The guy is probably going to go down as one of the greatest Americans to ever drive in an IndyCar. One of the greatest open-wheel drivers in the history of the sport. But again, I don't agree with the one-lap shootout. I kind of wish that red flag was thrown a lap sooner. That way these two could have jostled back and forth for a couple laps. But, again, you can't go back and change time. As far as the race itself, man, Kyle Kirkwood, I'm so glad he's okay. That was scary, and I'm so glad no fans got hit by that tire. And I will say again, this is just doubling down. This is the reason we should be racing at 2.5 mile tracks, 2 mile ovals like Pocono, like Michigan. I'm doubling down on it. We should be racing at those tracks. Plain and simple. There's no more excuse for it. The aero screen saved Kyle Kirkwood's life. He would have been dead if it wasn't for that aero screen. Okay? How much more proof do we need that the aero screen is perfect and it should allow us to race on these 2-mile-plus ovals at speeds of 230 miles an hour? Besides just Indy, we don't need any more proof. It's there. So, just not on Texas. Quit racing Texas. But that's all I got to say on that. And I've got to talk about this, though. And I know every year it seems like there's just something during the season that makes me drone on how much I hate NBC. But God, I fucking hate NBC. I can't begin to tell you. Danica, phenomenal. Mike Tirico being there, just the icing on the cake. I've always been a fan of Mike Tirico, as many of you know. Syracuse guy, so I'm always going to respect him for that. But, man, the fucking commercials, bro. Like, come on. We had, I think it was like 15 commercials for like 64 laps, but it sure seemed like a lot more than that. I mean, we seemed to only get like 8-9 laps before a commercial. Then we got like two or three of them where they came back. It was Mike Tirico, Dale Jr., Danica Patrick on the Peacock pit box. They'd be talking for 2 minutes, right back to commercial. For God's sakes, thank God the ratings were up. Because I'm telling you, as a race fan, if I was some casual race fan, I think if I saw them going to commercial every 2 minutes, I think I'd flip the TV off. I'm telling you, like, NBC has no right to be running any more motorsports after that weekend. That was horrible broadcasting. Horrible. No better way to put it. I mean, like, I know ESPN and ABC, the last year they had IndyCar put a sour taste in fans' mouths, but they need to come back. Them or Fox needs to just get the rights to IndyCar at this point. Like, anybody to take the rights away from NBC. Plain and simple. It has to happen. But I'll stop there, okay? If you want to see how much I hate NBC's coverage, go look at my Twitter, or better at Tinkle_B Hummel, or just go back and watch any Out of Turn 4 episode from Nashville last year on forward. Anyway, picks for the weekend. I'm picking Jordan Taylor in the Xfinity Series at Portland. Truck Series at Gateway. I haven't even taken a look at an entry list. I just realized I was running late, and I'm like, I gotta get an episode out. Sorry, guys. I forgot to talk about Corey LaJoie. So I do want to talk about Corey LaJoie real quick in the number 9 this weekend. Great for Corey. I know he's worked so hard for opportunities like this. I get it's not under the best circumstance, but, of course, when Jimmy retired, he put his hat in the ring. He said, I want to be in this car, He made it very clear he wanted to be in the 48. He made a big case about it. It was trending that season. It unfortunately didn't happen, but, it's good to see that relationship's there, and it's good to see a full circle moment like that. But again, Jordan Taylor, he's my pick for Xfinity. Truck Series at Gateway. Who do we have in the field? I gotta see the entry list real quick because I did not see that. I don't know why I didn't. See, no Cup guys, it looks like. Sorry, I'm taking a look real quick. Just want to be sure I make a solid pick. No, I'm going to pick Carson Hocevar. I think Hocevar is going to get the win on the truck side. Cup Series, you know, I would have said Chase, but obviously Chase is no longer in the field. I mean, I'm going to pick Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson will win at Gateway. That's about the safest pick I can make. IndyCar at Detroit. Keep in mind, it's going to be in the city, not in Belle Isle this time. I'm going to pick... shit. No, I'm going to pick Will Power. I think the defending champ will get the job done at Detroit. So... those are my picks. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at our normal time with any luck. Hopefully no big delays. But until then, goodbye, everyone.